Okay guys, yesterday we have witnessed what Vagrant can do. So from today we will try to get into the different aspects of Vagrant and how that virtual machine has actually created in Vagrant, and what are the different things that come into play whenever I'm working with Vagrant. So the first thing which I want to speak about is a Vagrant provider, right? So whatever I'm trying to discuss in this class is basically from Vagrant's documentation. So let me go with Vagrant documentation, and now I'm speaking about providers. So this is basically what I'll be speaking about. So okay, so to do in its very simple context, provider is the hypervisor environment, hypervisor where we want to create virtual machines, right? So Vagrant by default ships out of the box support, right? That means it has inherent support for virtual box, Hyper-V. Not only that, you can create it in create Docker also, but creating Docker from Vagrant is not a good idea. Okay, right? So provider is basically where you are creating your virtual environment. Okay, so let me go over here and then get into this installation section. Okay, so if you want any different provider, there are standard plugin installation steps. Okay, so you can basically install plugins if your environment is not one of the default providers that are basically supported. All right, so if you basically look into it, okay, it supports VirtualBox. Okay, okay, it supports Hyper-V, yeah, right, and also VMware. Okay, so if you're working out with VMware, you can basically look out for providers of VMware. Okay, so throughout this demo I'll be using VMware, Hyper-V, okay, because I am on my Windows machine. If you want to use VirtualBox, you can use VirtualBox also, right? Now provider is basically where you want to create your virtual environments. Now there are many third-party plugins available which give you support to other virtualization formats like KVM and all of that stuff, right? But we need not worry about that, at least at this moment. And the next concept which I want to speak about is Vagrant Box. Vagrant Box, right? So box is packaging format of Vagrant. So whenever we are working with Vagrant to create virtual machines, okay, so we basically use boxes. This box is basically a virtual machine packaged so that it can work on your provider. It can work on your provider. So if you remember yesterday, I have used this command, okay, Vagrant init, okay, generic / Ubuntu 18. So here in this case is generic / Ubuntu 18.10. okay, so in the above case, in the above example, the generic / Ubuntu 18.10 is the name of the box, okay. So generally what happens in Vagrant is, okay, whenever you want to create a virtual machine, so let me use Vagrant logo, open image, okay, okay, so using Vagrant, okay, whenever you have executed a command in your terminal saying that bring up the virtual machine. Okay, so you will tell that by trying to tell that Vagrant up. Okay, now what Vagrant will try to do is it will try to do two things. First, it will try to check if the box is downloaded locally. Right, so I can, let me open my PowerShell or Windows terminal. Okay, and let me execute Vagrant Box List. So if you see, I have a box called as 1804. Okay, right, so this is Vagrant Box List. If the box is found, okay, it will create the virtual machine using the box. Okay, so let me go over here and virtual machine icon. So let me go and take this icon. Yeah, right. If the box is not found, then what it will do is download the box locally. Okay, and then it will create the VM with the box. This is basically what was happening yesterday, right? So today I'll try to create one more box. Okay, but this time I will not do Vagrant up directly, but rather what I'll try to do is I'll try to, okay, add the box directly. So let me take this image, copy path, and then okay, right. So Vagrant box workflow. Right, sir. Now Vagrant has public boxes, right? Vagrant has a public catalog of boxes. So let me go into Vagrant's documentation. Okay, I am looking into boxes. Let me click on overview, and are you seeing over here? So right, for official documentation. Okay, and right, so from here I can select what is my provider. My provider is Hyper-V. Okay, so I can use any one of these boxes. So let me take the CentOS 7. Okay, so now I can go into command line, and then I can try to tell that Vagrant box add -- help. There is no need for you to remember any commands. Okay, so for commands they have already documented everything. So Vagrant box, or let me give you this. Okay, for commands refer here. Okay, so you will see I am using box, and in the box there is a command called as add. I'll click on that add. So it is trying to tell that Vagrant box add, and then you have the following options. Okay, I can give the provider also. Now let me try to do that. Vagrant box add hyphen provider Hyper-V CentOS/7. Okay, so I can do this. So now the box is getting downloaded. Okay, so let's download CentOS 7 box. Okay, as shown below. Right, so let us see what is happening. It is trying to tell that it will take 1 minute. Let us wait for 1 minute. It's okay. If you are working on VirtualBox, you might have given hyphen provider as VirtualBox, VBox. Okay, so there is one question that is asked saying that if I require some box and if the box is not available, what it will do? It will fail. You have to create your own box. You can convert your virtual machines into boxes also, right? So in DevOps, if you have enrolled to my course, we'll be learning something called as Packer. From Packer, you can create virtual boxes or boxes. Okay. If you are already enrolled to my course, from Packer, you can do that. Right. So the box is getting downloaded. Now let me get into D drive, CD temp, and now let me create CentOS 7 machine. So let me get into CentOS 7, and now let me try to tell Vagrant init CentOS/7. Okay, I'll try to tell what happens in Vagrant init, but for at this moment, let me try to tell Vagrant app hyphen provider is Hyper-V. Okay, so I want an external demo. So we got an IP address, right? Now let me log in into this machine using Vagrant SSH command. Okay, now sudo yum install get hyphen 1 minute hyphen y, right. So if you see, it is basically I'm able to work on CentOS machine, and it is very easy for me to create virtual machine, right? But what is happening internally? So how does this whole stuff work? Okay, that is what we would be trying to understand. Okay, when we will try to pick one most important thing in this whole stuff, which is Vagrant file. Okay, so let me go to the documentations. Vagrant file. Okay, so for Vagrant file documentation. Okay, so let me destroy this machine now. Vagrant, sorry, exit Vagrant destroy. Okay, remove hyphen item hyphen recurse CentOS/7. Now let me make directory and let me call it as an Apache server. So let me get into Apache. So if I look into ls, the folder is empty. Okay, now let me try to tell that Vagrant init CentOS/7. Okay, Vagrant file will be generated with Vagrant init command. So let me go over here and let me look into ls. So if you see, Vagrant file is generated, and this file will have all the configuration details. Okay, right. This file is used to configure and also to provision virtual machines. Okay, right. So syntax of Vagrant file is in Ruby language. Okay, but don't worry, you really don't need to know Ruby to configure the syntaxes of it. So let me open that folder, or let me try to tell notepad ++ Vagrant file. So this is the Vagrant file which it has, and it gives you with approximate lot of documentation so that you will be able to understand. So now open the Vagrant file, and there will be necessary documentation added already. Okay, to configure, let me add that whole stuff over here. Okay, So it will have all the necessary documentation over here. But okay, every line which starts with hash is a comment. Okay, so in Vagrant file, every line with hash is a comment because it follows the Ruby syntax, is comment. Now effectively, if you remove all the comments, okay, let me try to create one more file. I'll not be changing this, but this is the first thing which you have done. I'm just writing the files which do not have comments, right? Scroll down and this is what you have. Okay, this is a Vagrant file which you have basically created. Okay, now this might not be enough, right? We might need some configurations to be available. Okay, so let us try to understand what are those configurations that are available in Vagrant and what is that I can basically do with respect to this. So the first configuration which I want to speak about is virtual machines configuration. Okay, so let me write it. The effective code which is creating virtual machines, is okay. Okay, so here 2 means Vagrant's version is 2, and then it is trying to tell that the box is this. Right, sir. Now let us look into VM configurations. Okay, so generally anything where you will see config.vm, that is what you would be effectively seeing. Okay, here config is a name that is basically achieved from this Ruby syntax. Now let me first try to give you the documentation link for that. Okay, config.vm, refer here for official documentation. Now if you look into this, there are many settings over here where you can try to tell what is your box's name, right? What is your box's URL, what is your box's version, what is your host name, what is the network which you want to configure, what is your VM's provider, right? There is one more thing which is called as synced folders. Do you want any sync any folders between your system and the virtual machine which is basically under creation? You can do all of that stuff, right? Now let me basically go back to the original file over here. Okay, now if I want to, okay, let's say if I want to, let's use this VM, this Vagrant file, to create a virtual machine with 2 GB RAM. Okay, so uncomment this line, and uncomment this line, and here you try to tell that I want 2 GB, so 2048. Okay, so okay, I'm just writing sharing this stuff with you, right? Now let me save this file. Okay, and now you have to reload your file. So Vagrant reload will restart your machine. Oh, right, Vagrant up. Okay, I have not created the virtual machine itself, right? Yeah. Now this virtual machine will be created with 2 GB of RAM. Similarly, if you want to set CPUs, you can set how many CPUs you want, you can basically set over there. I want to use external demo. Okay, right. Now Vagrant SSH. Right. Now let me execute top command. So if you look into top commands, let me look into where is memory. Let, yeah, memory in KABs. Let me do one thing. Sudo yum install htop. Oh, htop is not available. Fine. In that case, let me show you in Hyper-V Manager. Right. Settings. Memory. Yeah, memory is not set. Range. Didn't I saved it? Okay. Let me try to reload. Okay. Exit. Is it Vagrant in Apache folder? Yeah. Good. So Vagrant stop. Okay. So let me execute Vagrant -- help so that you'll get to know all the commands. Right. So if you see, suspend the machine, up. Okay. Halt will stop the virtual machine. Right. You can use anything. So if you want to restart the machine, you'll be using reload. Vagrant reload. Hopefully I've saved it. Yes. Right. So while this machine is basically creating, let me try to search in Vagrant boxes for Windows Server. Okay, Windows Server 2012, Windows SQL Server, Windows Server. Okay. So let me parallelly add this box. Okay. Add new Windows PowerShell. Vagrant box add this machine. Right, sir. Now let me try to look at the settings of this machine. Ideally they should be changed by now. Refresh. Right. So assigned memory is 1024 itself. I'm not sure why it is not setting, but yeah, it is strange, sir. In VirtualBox the setting works, but I'm not sure why it is not setting it over here. Okay. Right. You try to do the same thing on VirtualBox, and if it is not working out for you, then I think we'll discuss about it, because this setting should work. Right. That is fine. Right, sir. Now let me basically, as I said, I'm downloading one Windows machine. Okay, I want it for Hyper-V. Okay, Windows machine will take a lot of time because this box will be a little bit on the heavier side. Let us see how much time it takes. Okay, it takes 26 or 24 minutes. Okay, let it download. We'll use that box in later point of time. Now, one more thing which you can do in this configuration is, right, you can basically try to tell port forwarding, okay, which is not required at this moment, but that's okay. If you want to set a particular IP address to this, you can set it. Okay, you can set it to public network. Okay, but let me show you one thing interesting in this machine. So let me get into Vagrant SSH. Right, so let me go into sudo df-h command. So right now there are no mounting points, but if you see, there is something called as dev/sda1 which is mounted onto the machine, and we have got 4 GB of space, right? So if you want any shared folder to be mounted from your Windows machine to Linux machine, you can configure this sync. So for example, you can try to tell that I want to share the synced folder over here. This is the setting for that. Okay, all of these are good, but the most important thing which we would want is we want provisioning. So I want the Apache server to be installed. Let me destroy the Vagrant machine while I am creating the virtual machine itself, so that I'll share this Vagrant file with my team members. And then whenever they want their environment to be created, they will be able to use this configuration. So let me try to create that. So I'll be creating one Apache server and one Tomcat server. Okay, so let me go over here and let me change this from CentOS/7 to generic/Ubuntu 18.04. Let me see if this is the box which I have or not. Vagrant Box List. Okay, generic/Ubuntu 18.04. Right, and over here what I'll try to do is, okay, this is not working, right? So let us not worry about this at this moment. Let me try to install Apache 2 over here. So if you are saying config.vm.provisioning, I'll be installing, let me not install Apache 2, let me install Nginx. Okay, not only that, let me also install apt-get install Tomcat 8 -y. So, or I can write Tomcat 8 over here directly. I really don't need to write this command again. Okay, so if you want, you can write your command by saying service nginx start or stop, but in the case of Apache 2, the services will be started automatically, so there is no need for us to tell. You can use this provisioning inline, or okay, as I said, if you have gone through the documentation, okay, if you see provisioning, I am using the basic inline provisioning, but you can go beyond that and you can write shell, and in the shell you have inline and you can give the path of your shell script also. If you know any of the configuration management tools, you can try to tell that my provisioning is Ansible provisioning, and you can try to tell your playbook. Okay, then your playbook will be executed on that machine. Okay, Vagrant will install Ansible, and then it will try to run your Ansible playbook while it is provisioning. But we need not need that much of things in this dev environment kind of setup. But if your company is using that provisioners, go and look into these provisioners. So let me go with provisioning. Okay, and okay, let's use shell provisioning to install Tomcat 8 and Apache 2 Apache servers on Ubuntu box. Okay, For other provisioners, refer here. Okay, so let me basically go over here and then let me try to tell that Vagrant up. Okay, so if you want to share your virtual machine, you need not share the whole stuff. You can just share this Vagrant file. For example, I have written one Vagrant file and I will share that Vagrant file to you. You install Vagrant on your machine, and if you type Vagrant up, whatever virtual machine which I have created can be basically shared with you. So this is the most important advantage of Vagrant file, right? For creating virtual environments, okay, we create Vagrant files, Vagrant file, and share it with anyone who wants to create virtual machine, who wants to create similar environment. Okay, so if it is in a non-conventional approach, then what we need to do is we need to share the virtual hard disk, and virtual hard disk will be lot in size. Okay, so for the virtual machine which I am creating on my machine, if you want to create exact the same thing, the only thing which I have to share is virtual Vagrant file, which is a text file with some lines of code. So sharing virtual machines become extremely simple with this approach, right? So I want external demo, right? I should have downloaded the Windows box earlier, but I can point out towards a video where I have done that. So if you see, shell provisioning is running on this machine. It is running the inline script. It will try to update the packages, and then it will try to install Nginx and Tomcat 8. So if you are running on a Windows machine, you have a you can basically use the Windows provisioning, whatever that makes sense to you. For example, you can use Chef, right? So if you're working on a Windows machine, you can use the same shell provisioner and then try to write PowerShell scripts over there. Now it has installed. If I can look into what is this virtual machine and what is the network IP address of this. See, I got 2 GB of RAM now. Right, wonderful. Okay, so 192.168.0.183. 192.168.0.183. So Nginx is installed. :8080 Tomcat should be installed. Yeah. So in this provisioning, you can use Ansible, you can use Chef, right? So I have given you the link of provisioning over here, and then here there are lots of provisioners which you can install. Okay, so what is happening with respect to Windows, right? So for Windows provisioner, what I'll do is I'll share you one video. Let me go to my channel itself. So learning thoughts, playlists, right? Where is Azure? Yeah, in Azure, how to set up virtual machine. Right, This is fine. I'll try to see if I can give you a link. So, right. Let me give you the links of that. So, for Windows environment, okay, refer this video, or from what is the time? 27:40 minutes. Okay. And then I'll show you the Windows machine also, because since it is taking time, there is no point in waiting for 20 minutes, right? Right. So, and also, if you basically look into these two things, you will be able to make it out, right? So, since this machine is taking 25 minutes for me, right? There is no point in waiting for 25 minutes. You just look into these videos, and if you want anything more than this, you can always try to put it in contacts or comment section. I'll try to basically give you this video, right? So Vagrant is a very simple way of creating virtual machines at your laptops, not for production use cases, right? So if you want to simulate your developer environments, you can easily create an environment with Vagrant and share it with others. For sharing it, the only thing which you have to share is a Vagrant file. The only thing which you have to share is a Vagrant file. That is the whole essence of Vagrant over here. Okay, right, sir? And if you want to know more, as I said, okay, please use the documentations from official sites. There will be changes with every version. Okay, but with respect to Vagrant, we don't have very elaborate use cases. We'll have one simple use case which we have already spoken about. Yeah, right, sir? So I think that is what I had for the day, and we'll be meeting again soon with some other interesting topic in the live session. Yes, Bhaskar. Yeah, I hope all the videos live. I don't think so. I have to survive, right, sir? I cannot put everything live, but yeah, I'll try to make an effort to basically make some of the interesting stuffs on the YouTube, right? So that you can we can all save some time, and we can focus on the foundational aspects on YouTube, right? Okay, sir. I'll stop it at that, and we'll meet again in our next class. And I'm quite sure you know where your videos are located. Where your videos are located, right? Thank you. Thanks for your time.